Well, William, we are so excited to have you on the show. We told you offline, we're dog people, so you're kind of a shoe in from the get go. But what I really wanted to focus on today is so many solopreneurs think they have to do something virtually. And I know that you have a digital marketing background as well, but I just love your idea because it's outside the box. And I just to kick things off, I just want to know um, what made you want to start your business and kind of how did it all fall into place?
Mhm. Yeah, so as you mentioned, my background's in digital marketing. I own kind of a portfolio of other home service companies. And while I was working on growing those, my wife was pregnant at the time and she ended up hiring a pooper scooper company. And they were pretty bad at pretty much everything. They didn't show up on time. They didn't have a CRM. They didn't do their billing. They didn't have any advertising. And I thought that there's an opportunity just to do that better. It wasn't really something I had heard of before. Honestly, it kind of started off a little bit as a joke, but fast forward a couple of years, it turned out to be a pretty good business for us.
The joke's on everybody else but you.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Well, I love that. Well, can you so speaking of the beginning, can you walk us through the early days of SwoopScoop, some of your initial challenges, and aside from uh, battling the giggles that people were having about this idea?
Yeah, so that was definitely something up front. I'd say probably the biggest challenge was that I had no idea what I was doing in the industry at first. I think we were practicing, we're throwing like rocks in the backyard and timing ourselves on how long it would take to scoop them, so we can set our pricing and things like that. And the other big challenge was kind of like myself. Most people haven't heard of the service, and even now, a lot of people haven't heard of the service. So if we're looking at like Google search volumes, there's maybe 10 searches a month compared to like my electrical company that had over 1,000 searches a month. So we had to find a way to get in front of our customers that wasn't exactly what I was used to. So we had to kind of take a different spin on the marketing for local companies that I've previously had.
Well, now you're gonna have to give us the
Exactly.
what that spin is, and also let's backtrack really quick because I'm gonna dangle the carrot. Can you? I feel like I spoke about this in the intro, but I don't quite do it justice. Can you explain Swoop Scoop for people who are just like, what is this thing? And then we'll get into that magical marketing tactic.
Yeah, for sure. So it's pretty simple. We're literally just a dog waste removal company. So people will pay us a subscription. So we have different subscriptions based on how many dogs people have, how big their yard is, and we'll come out either twice a week, once every other week, or once a month. Basically, pick up the dog waste and leave, and that's really all there is to it. So it's probably one of the most simple home service businesses that you could possibly have, and there are more dog owners than ever. So it's a good time to be in the industry.
Yeah, but it's really hard in the fall when the leaves fall down. Being a dog owner, that must slow your productivity way down.
Yep, they'll slow you down. And then right now we're in what I like to call peak poop pain season. So in our location, all the snow just melted. So a lot of people haven't been outside for 3, 4, 5 months. That's when we get most of our clients for the year.
Wow.
I would assume so. Well, the thing I like about that, you said it was a pretty simple business though, and I think that's just the point. Like people need to get inspiration from the easiest thing. I mean, it's like picking up dog poop. Everybody has to do that if they have a dog, and if they're not, that's disgusting. Um, but but it just seems so simple. But you, like you just said, you even had a hard time marketing that, even though it's a need that so many people had. So let's dive back into that part. What did you have to do differently to get discovered?
Yeah, so we had to find ways to get in front of people, primarily through probably disruption marketing. So Facebook ads ended up being our number one channel. That's where we get the majority of our customers. Over the years, we've been able to advertise there heavily enough that we've actually been able to increase search volumes. Now there's hundreds of searches for our branded terms. People associate us with the service rather than searching for like dog poop pickup. They'll just search Swoop Scoop, which has been awesome. But our top three channels are going to be Facebook ads, Google ads now, and then truck wraps. So if we're getting our vehicles wrapped with the full branding as you're driving around, those really stand out to people. You
I,
definitely get your
I
money
gotta I
back.
gotta ask a question because I see these things, but you go to the grocery store and those shopping carts, and
Yeah.
people put ads on them. And my sister tried that for her photography business and said it did nothing. But I was wondering, would that work? Do you think that would work for a company like yours, where people see it and go, "Oh, yeah,"
Yeah, I think it could. I think it definitely could work. I think the issue with that is that you don't get enough volume and frequency if you're just on like the carts. So like if you're running billboards or running Facebook ads or anything, you need to have enough frequency out in front of people.
Have you done
Uh,
billboards?
yeah, we've done billboards. Yep, we've done
Wow.
billboards. I ran TV ads even. I had to deal with Pizza Hut. This was probably a bad idea. We were able to put like our poop scoop coupons on Pizza Hut boxes. We got like 0 customers from that. So don't recommend doing that. Uh, but it's
Hey,
definitely been a fun
Yeah,
business to grow.
that
I
is
feel like
fun.
the name of the game though is thinking outside the box. So I appreciate the attempt with that one, even if
Yeah,
it
we spent a lot of money on stuff that doesn't work, but I think we got it figured out now.
As long as you know what does, you know which money isn't working, then you're in good shape. It's when you know half of it's not working, but you don't know which half that you're in trouble.
Yep, exactly.
well,
Exactly.
you've clearly learned from these mistakes because in addition to search volume, your business has just skyrocketed in general. So what would you contribute this impressive growth to or attribute it to?
I'd really say it comes down to knowing your main KPIs. And for me, pretty much any business that I'm involved with, the number one thing I look at is your CAC to LTV ratio. So how much it costs to acquire a customer versus how much money that customer is worth over the lifetime of your business. So my first year in this, we can get customers for 30 to $50, and each customer is worth about $2,000 lifetime. So it was kind of just printing money if you were willing to put in the work and pick up dog poop.
So here's just the we like to kind of break through some of the jargon. So you said KPI, which is key performance indicator. So something you're measuring that tells you how you're doing, and CAC or CAC, customer acquisition cost, what it costs you to get a customer. So your ad spend and anything else that goes into getting them versus how much they're worth over the lifetime of an average customer.
Mhm.
Yeah, cool. I just like to make sure that people that are new to this know what's
Yeah,
going on.
definitely. Yep, that's exactly it.
Well, so you were successful with Facebook and you've been successful with other online tactics and you do have a digital marketing background. So how did that change your approach to how you marketed? And for people that don't have a digital marketing background, where should they start?
Mhm. Um, yeah, how did that change my approach? Well, it definitely gave me a big advantage because a lot of businesses, when they're first starting off, customer acquisition tends to be the bottleneck over like capital or other issues like that. So thankfully, the business wasn't bottlenecked by customer acquisition. But if you're learning to get started, I think that the most important thing is just to find somebody that is reputable in the industry that you want to be in, and try to get advice from somebody that's actually been there, done that. I know there's a lot of gurus and people out there that haven't actually accomplished anything, so you got to be definitely careful about who you listen to online.
So true. Well, so so something that we're big on is building community. That's kind of what got our business and our followers off the ground was just having a community of of solopreneurs. So what made you want to start I love the name Poop Scoop Millionaire Community? And why is it so successful? And what do you do as part of that community?
Mhm. Yeah, so I started that. I had never talked to another pooper scooper until about a year or two ago, and I just ended up hopping on a random podcast, and we were able to grow our company very significantly in a short amount of time. And I probably had, I don't know, a couple dozen people reach out to me that wanted to do one-on-one coaching with me. And it wasn't something I was really interested in. So I just threw out a crazy number. Okay, I'll talk to you for whatever, $1,500 for 2 hours a month. And I ended up making like 20 plus $1,000 in the first couple of weeks. And I was like, well, this is cool, but I don't want to do one-on-one coaching for people. So it kind of pivoted into this online community on School. I'm a big follower of Alex Ramosi, and it was something that he recently invested into. So I figured I'd give it a shot and see what it was all about.
Yeah, you are the third person in a month to talk about Alex, and like we ourselves also just we have our like little internal book club. When I say that, it's just Joe and I, but um, but we also just read that book, and yeah, this guy knows what he's talking about. So
Yes.
if you haven't checked that book out, which we'll put in the show notes, definitely do. It's amazing. But I wanted the thing I like about the community is that you have such a niche service that people might think it'd be hard to expand different offers. I mean, it's like, well, you scoop poop. So what else can you do to keep brainstorming ways to make money and whatnot? But the community is obviously a way, your one-on-one coaching. What other ways like how can people brainstorm different income streams with a very niched topic?
Mhm. Honestly, if all you're going to do is scooping poop as a solopreneur, I wouldn't recommend adding any other income streams to it. One single person can typically handle 125 to 150 customers, and that can generate. I think for us, our average customer pays us at our first location $105 a month, $120 a month at the second location. And it's a business with really low expenses. So if you just focus in on that, get really good, get your routes tight, I mean, you could be making 6 figures plus literally picking up dog poop on a part-time schedule. So
Can I just ask you, what are some of the things you consult? Like, is it efficiency with picking up the poop? Like, is it the customer service to keep the clients happy? What kind of things separate you from the not to compare you to the teenager next door, but a teenager next door could be like, can I scoop this up? But obviously you found something that's so much better than that. So I mean, I know you don't want to give everything away because you
I'll tell
consult
you
on
guys whatever you want
it.
to know.
But yeah, but what kind of things, what separate you from other pooper scoopers?
I think number one is going to be professionalism. So as I mentioned, we have all our trucks wrapped. So not only is that a good place to get customers from, but it also allows you to charge higher prices because you look like a more legitimate company. You've invested into your business. You're not just going to not show up one day kind of a thing and never be heard from again. Um, Response time is probably the second thing. Um, I mean, you guys have probably called people on Google. If you don't have somebody pick up the phone, you just move on to the next listing and continue on, continue on, continue on. And then even with Facebook ads, the faster we're able to get the leads, the better off we're going to be. And then the third thing would probably be automation. So on our website, you can go to our website, you can actually sign up for services, get an instant quote, enter your credit card. You don't even have to talk to anybody. You can get onboarded onto our system, which really just streamlines a ton of work. So you can just focus on growing the business instead of chasing people down.
So you get pricing on the website. So you got some kind of pricing system on the website.
Yep. So you go on, you just enter your zip code, make sure you're in our service area, and then we basically just need to know what service frequency you want, how many dogs you have. We'll collect people's phone number before they actually get the quote, and then we'll give them the instant price, and they can sign up if they like it. If they don't like it, we set them up on a text message remarketing process to try to get them onboarded over the next couple days.
And the yard size, I thought, does that matter?
Yeah, yard size matters. So for us, our average size yard is about 1/8 of an acre. So we will increase the price for every quarter acre, but we keep that off the quote form. We'll measure it in between just to get people signed up. Because the more steps you have on the form fill, the lower your conversion rate will
Makes
be.
sense. Hey, I have a question, and this is in some levels probably too in the weeds, but I'm just really curious. So you've got this business now. You're not a solopreneur anymore. You've got people working for you because you said trucks. So your biggest expense is probably payroll followed by vehicle expenses.
Yeah, probably biggest expense would be labor. Definitely is the number one expense, and then second expense is probably marketing. I would say if we're in
Okay.
an aggressive growth mode, and then it would be trucks after that.
Yeah. So my question is, do you do anything in terms of route optimization for the? I mean, you think about how to shorten the route to keep the expenses down and that kind of thing. So you're really thinking this through. Cool.
Yeah, yep. So I mean, at this point, I know solopreneur, but we got close to 2,500 people every week for that we pick up dog poop for. So it turned into quite the business.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so smart. It's funny when you're talking about professionalism. Do you guys have college hunks hauling junk in your areas?
We do. Yeah.
Well, we originally went with them just to get some stuff out of our house, but again, it's something that anybody could do, but they followed up. They were like automated. They showed up in their polos. And it was just like, I will use them now for every moving thing because of what you just said. It wasn't like, I know that they're going to show up when they say they're going to. And it just, people sometimes overthink that. And I hate to say it, but the bar can be pretty low for like competitors. So if you just show up when you say you will and do the job, you're already one step ahead of the game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially in home services. I mean, there's a lot of services that you can do with low skill, like picking up dog poop, and you can make it really good income without having any employees, just working by yourself. So if you just
I
show
know
up
it's
and do
it's tricky to get that right on the shovel the right way, though.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah, I got a training for that if you need.
Yeah.
Well, sure you do. What haven't you thought of? Well, speaking of what you hadn't thought of, aside from partnering with Pizza Hut to put the coupons on the boxes, what would you have done differently when you were starting out? Because you were a solopreneur when this first got going, correct?
Yeah.
So what would you have done differently, if anything?
Probably the biggest surprise to me was the seasonality of the business. So I expected summer to be the busiest time, and kind of the winter time, people to drop off or not even provide service. But it's actually the exact opposite of that. First quarter of the year, we get about 80% of our clients. Our cost per acquisition is about 20% of what it is during the summer months. So if I would have known that, I could have planned ahead a little bit better and probably grown the company even faster.
Gotcha. So did you have to wait kind of a full year to really get a good grasp on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, at first it was like, man, this thing is just printing money. I should go like mortgage my house, put a bunch of money into ads, and just keep this thing going. Uh, but then as soon as summer hit, it just like stopped all of a sudden. And then it wasn't until fall, winter time, things started picking back up again. And then we had that next rush the following spring.
So can I ask you, as a wife that has been pregnant before, when you ran this idea by her with your child in her stomach, what was her response? And at what point was she like, that's a great idea?
It was actually her idea, believe it
Oh,
or
wow,
not. So
great.
Well,
yeah.
I'm guessing she was the one that was scooping the poops.
Yeah, well, I don't think, yeah, neither of us were really doing that good of a job. So she was pretty happy to find the service.
The
Got it.
solution.
Got it.
That's awesome. Well, what advice would you give solopreneurs starting out who are just starting in their one person business venture and are feeling a little overwhelmed and feel like there's too much to bite off?
Definitely. Well, I would just mainly focus on the things that actually matter. And when you're first starting off a business, really the only thing that matters is getting money in the door. Like I see a lot of people, they try to get their logo perfect and their website perfect, and they're going to have their business cards formatted exactly the right way. None of that stuff really matters. All that matters is that you go out and get customer and get cash flow coming in the business, because without that, you don't have a business. So whatever you got to do.
Yeah, that is so smart. I am just fascinated by this. Again, we wanted to have you on just because it's hard. People just get so mainstream with their thinking. And this is just such a good business by just thinking like, oh, what do I do every day? Oh, how do I make this profitable? And I just am fascinated by it.
And also, I just this idea of looking at businesses that are out there but aren't doing really a great job and making it great. That's really powerful, and it's a lot less risky than inventing something new,
Hmm.
right? I mean, the some of the guys I hear on podcasts and things, and like Sam Parr and what's My First Million, Sam Parr and I can't think of the other guy's name now, but they talk about boring businesses, and it's like, yeah, it is kind of boring, but there really can be very, very, very profitable and not take a long time to get up and out the gate.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we started this with less than $1,000, and it's a multi-million-dollar company picking up dog food. So, uh, anything is possible.
I'm going to Google it and see if anybody's good in this area.
Well, you seem very deserving of this success. And so I want to end with a question we ask all of our guests. And what is your favorite quote about success?
Probably a Hormozy quote, and it's just win. That's it.
I like it. have you guys
Just,
seen have you guys seen the show Shrinking on Apple?
I
Uh,
have, I have.
You know that best friend, he's like, all I ever do is win. So that's what we think of.
We can't watch that show because my wife's a mental health professional, and she watches that and she just cringes constantly. She's like, I can't take it.
yeah.
Well, William, this has been fascinating. Where can people find out more about you, but also more about the company?
Hmm. Yes, if you want to learn more about kind of the poop scoop industry, we have a bunch of free resources. So we have our YouTube channel at ScoopStart. We have scoopstart.com, the blog. We also have ScoopStart Instagram, Facebook. And if you want to really dive into it, you can join the Poop Scoop Millionaire community, where we basically walk you through A to Z on how to start and scale this business.
That's awesome. I think you're so cool. Thank you so, so much for coming on the show today.
Yeah,
This was
appreciate
great.
you
This was
guys.
great. Yeah, I love it.
And
Good stuff.
listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, share this episode with a friend, subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, and leave that 5-star review. And we will see you next time on The Aspiring Solopreneur.